कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। हरि ओम, salutations to all. So the language of contradictions is what we saw in mantra 20. Now the 21st one. Apanipadohamachintya shaktihi pashyamya chakshus sashrunomya karnaha aham vijanami vivikta rupaha na chasti vetta mama chit sadaham. Apanipadoham, I don't have any hands and legs. Achintya shaktihi, I am unthinkable great power. Pashyami achakshuhu, I see without eyes. Sashrunomi akarnaha, I hear without ears. Aham vijanami vivikta rupaha, I see and perceive and I know different forms. Nachasti vetta mama, there is no knower of mine. Who am I? Chit sadaham, I am pure consciousness. At all times, I am that consciousness. Now, literally, if we take this mantra in its literal meaning, it will appear that consciousness is some specially challenged being. Does not have hands and legs, does not have eyes and ears, hears without eyes, hears without ears, sees without eyes. Somebody gets shocked. Arey baap re, if I realize consciousness, I become consciousness, means my hands, legs will go. I can't hear, I can't see. It does not mean all that. You just imagine if these commentaries are not available, we don't have background of Vedanta and we read this mantra, what will we understand? Very difficult. Because literal meaning makes no sense only. Apanipadoham, I don't have hands and legs. What does it mean? Hands and legs belong to what? To the body only. Very interesting is this, I tell you. This mantra, if you remove, again in the mantra, if you remove Chit Sadaham, all this we have experienced. Does Jiva have hands and legs? Huh? Okay, subtle body has hands and legs. Gross body has hands and legs. Subtle body, no hands, no legs. Subtle body has eyes. Subtle body has ears. Is subtle body Achintya Shakti? It is unthinkable how this mind works of ours. If you apply this to subtle body, it will work. Aham vijanami vivikta rupaha. The mind knows so many things in the world. So if last line, if you remove, it will apply to subtle body also. How do we see in dream state? I have spectacles. Do I need spectacles in dream? Does my eye need to be open to see the dream? But I see the dream, no? How? Eyes are not there, spectacle is not there, still I am seeing the dream. Ears are not functioning, still I am hearing sound in the dream. One joke I remembered. One lady dreamt there's a tiger in front of her. She had attended a camp. I told you, mixture happens of all the events in the dream. So she saw that tiger holding water in the palm and chanting Brahmarpanam. So that lady got scared. And the lady is asking the tiger, are you going to eat me? Tiger replied, it is your dream, you decide. In dream, our eyes are not there, ears are not there, eye is closed, ear is not hearing, hands, legs are all still. But everything is happening in dream. So if we think that we need eyes and ears, yes, in the gross world, physical world, to experience physical world, we need eyes and ears and hands and legs to move. But mind itself does not need. So the consciousness, it applies to consciousness. What does this mean then? Apanipadoham. Consciousness is the factor which enlivens the senses of action. Panipada are senses of action. All the senses of action function because of that consciousness. So senses function because of consciousness. Consciousness does not need the senses to function. It is independent. What is the meaning of this apanipadoham? Meaning we derive our sense of self-worth from all our actions only, and actions are done with the senses of action. Vedanta is saying you don't need the senses of action only. They need you, you don't need them. As consciousness, you are the enlivener of the hands and legs. Apanipadoham. So I by myself, I am not limited by the actions that the senses do. That is the meaning. I am consciousness. The jiva may require the senses to exhaust some karma in the world. Consciousness only illumines that. So I am that consciousness which is beyond the senses of action. Apanipadoham. Achintya Shakti. This is inscrutable power. The consciousness is absolutely difficult, magnificent power. Achintya Shakti. Whatever we can achieve in the realm of the world, it is through the Chintan Shakti in this world, through the power of thought. The greatest power in the world is what? What is the greatest power in the world? In the finite world, what is the greatest power? Thought power only. Even the other power, whatever, atomic power, nuclear power, solar power, thermal power, whatever power is there is all because of thought power. The fastest computer is because of thought power. That thought power can achieve so many things in the world, but there is a power beyond the thought power also. That is this Achintya Shakti, which thought cannot even grasp. So if we say we are what we think, in the movie you saw, no? And yesterday also you saw Dan and Sock saying that you are not what you think. So the thoughts come in the mind. That is the power of the thought. The mind has great power because it is made up of sattva guna of the 5 elements. But I am greater than my mind. The mind is there, I am there. Mind is not there also, I am there. Mind has all the power because of me. If consciousness is not there, mind will not even function. So senses of action are enlivened by consciousness. Mind is enlivened by consciousness. That is the meaning of first line. Second line, pashyami achakshuhu. I see without eyes, I hear without ears. Meaning again, the capability to see and hear in the eyes and the ears comes from consciousness. Mind, of course, has to coordinate the eyes and ears, etc., and the knowledge must arise together. But mind is enlivened by this, consciousness enlivens. So the senses of knowledge, eyes and ears are symbolic of senses of knowledge. So all senses of knowledge are enlivened by consciousness, mind is enlivened by consciousness, senses of action enlivened by consciousness. Then this buddhi, aham vijanami vivikta rupaha. It is very interesting in this. Aham can mean so many things here. The seer is one, the seen will be many. So the seer will always have many things to see or experience. The eyes are one, meaning the eye is one, but it sees so many forms. Tongue is one, by itself tasteless, and it tastes so many things. Okay. Does the eye hold on to any form? Does the tongue hold on to any food? The seer is different from the seen. The seer is one, seen is many. And the seer does not get affected by the seen. Really, the seer doesn't get affected by the seen, meaning it does not hold on to the seen. That's what I meant. So our senses also teach us detachment. Same way the mind is one, but emotions are so many. Intellect is one, thoughts are so many. So if the forms are many, the seer is one, the nature of that seer is formless by itself. Is our capability to see limited by any form? See, eyes have a form, but does the capability to see have a form? That's a faculty, that's a power, it does not have any form. That which is formless can perceive so many other forms. Aham vijanami vivikta rupaha. Does mind have any specific form? It does not have. It takes up temporarily the form of things which it sees, again it changes, again it takes up. So aham vijanami vivikta rupaha means I perceive through the body, mind, intellect, the consciousness perceives all the variety in the world, but by itself it is the seer, completely different from this entire scene. By itself it is formless, so it perceives all the other forms. Aham vijanami vivikta rupaha. Nachasti vetta mama. There is no other knower. Meaning nobody knows me, not other knower. There is nobody who knows me. No, Swamiji, so many realized people, they know consciousness. How can it be said, nobody knows me? Nobody knows me means, nobody knows me as the object. Whoever knows me becomes me. So who knows me? No one else. Finite will never know the infinite. Finite dissolves, infinite remains. Bas. Gurudev used to say, Narayana alone knows Narayana. Nobody knows Narayana. Why? Because I am only that Narayana. This Jiva is that Narayana only, this consciousness only. What is the realization? I am not the Jiva, I am that. And I alone am Chit Sadaham. Consciousness all the time. I was only, am, and I will always be consciousness. There was never the dream at all. The waker was always there. Limitation of the dream example is that it appears real when it is there. But otherwise, the waker did not become the dream character, the dreamer. Waker is always the waker. So, consciousness always is. So, that is the contemplation on this mantra, that I am the one who enlivens the senses of knowledge, senses of action, mind, intellect. By itself, I am formless, but I perceive so many forms. And I am not known by anyone because I am the ultimate knower. And what is my nature? Chit Sadaham, always consciousness. See, it can be said, no, that electricity, now this electricity is giving light to this bulb, it is giving sound to this mic, it is manifesting as this movement, so air through the fan. So if we have to indicate electricity, what we say? A bulbum, a micum, a fanum. Electricity gives light without bulb, sound without mic, air without fan. We can say that. Why? Because the electricity is that because of which bulb gives light, because of which mic gives sound, because of which fan is giving the air. By itself it is no bulb, no light, no fan. But without this electricity, this bulb, light, fan will not work. So you can modify this verse for electricity and make a new one. A bulb, a fanum, a micum, whatever. Create one shloka. A lightum. A bulb, a micum, a light, a fanum. In tune also you can make nicely. And Gurudev used to say, you want to directly experience electricity? Do electricity yoga. Put one chair, climb, remove that bulb, make the finger like this straight and put straight into that socket. You will get the glimpse of electricity. After that, do you have to test anywhere else? Let me test Chinese electricity, American electricity. Nothing. It is the same electricity. You got experience. That is called electricity yoga. Detach the bulb, put the finger inside. Sannyasa yoga, no? Electricity yoga is like that. Take out the bulb, put the finger straight. Direct experience. In that experience, do you have do you feel the sound? Do you feel the light? Do you feel the air? No. But did you experience electricity or not? Yes. Is it beyond light bulb, fan? Yes. Same thing. Apani pado hamachintya shakti pashyamya chakshu sashrunomi akarnaha. Then, if you read this last paragraph of this commentary on this mantra 21, Gurudev said very nicely. If Kaivalya Upanishad is a rare piece of jewelry in the vaults of the Hindu culture, we can without any hesitation declare that this stanza is the precious pendant of beauty that enriches this piece of jewelry. Nice, no? Whole Kenopanishad is there in this one mantra. Yat chakshusha pashyati yena chakshumshi pashyati tadeva brahmatvam vidhi na idam yadidam upasate. That which is not perceptible by the eyes, but because of which the eyes perceive, know that to be Brahman, not this which you worship. This I heard somewhere. In some camp I had gone, that time I heard. Which camp? You remember? Very good. We did Kenopanishad in Uttarkashi. So that Kenopanishad is this. Apani padoham achintya shakti pashyamya chakshu sashrunomi akarna means that. Now 22. Vedairaneikairahameva vedyaha Vedantakrit veda videva chaham Na punya pape mama nasti nashaha Na janma dehendriya buddhirasti somewhere we heard this, पता नहीं कहाँ पर है ये, वेदैरनेकै अहमेव वेद्य वेदांतकृत वेद विदेव चाहम, 15 चैप्टर ऑफ गीता. अरे वाह, सबकी बत्ती एकदम ब्राइट है आज. आफ्टर इन द 4th सेशन ऑफ कैवल्य उपनिषद यू आर अलर्ट. ताली बजाओ अपने लिए, वेरी गुड. वेदैरनेकै अहमेव वेद्य. So this is lifted from the Gita or Gita is lifted from here? How do you know? Gita is the essence of the Upanishads. That is one method to know. But maybe Kaivalya Upanishad was discovered later. Who knows? I am not saying this. Gurudev has said in his commentary. He has given both this. You see the first para, he says that. It is not possible to realize that much clearly. So he says, no doubt a lot of research has been done, started by the Western scholars and efficiently taken up by our professors. I am taking the portion from the middle of first para. But it is very difficult to fix these with any authoritative finality. Which took from what we don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter which took from what. For us, what is important is we are using this for contemplation. Vedaihi anekaihi. Through all the different Vedas, Rig, Yaju, Sama, Atharva, anekaihi Vedaihi, ahameva vedyaha. What is to be known is this consciousness only. The essence of Vedic knowledge is to realize Jiva Brahma Aikya. That is the essence of Gayatri Mantra also. Today morning you did Gayatri Havan, no? It is not just a prayer to Gayatri Devi or to Surya Devata. It is actually to say Jiva and Brahma are one. If you read Gurudev's book, no? Tune in the mind, Japa Gayatri. In that, at the end, Shankaracharyaji's commentary on Gayatri Mantra also is given. Beautiful it is. There he says Gayatri is the knowledge which is about Jiva Brahma Aikya. So, the essence of Vedic knowledge, if we say, is in Gayatri Mantra. What is the essence of that Gayatri Mantra? Is Jiva Brahma Aikya. Vedaihi anekaihi ahameva vedyaha. Aham eva. Only this consciousness is to be known ultimately. One may learn the Vedas, do rituals, go to heaven, enjoy many things. So many other possibilities are there. But truly what is to be known by study of the Veda? Bhagavan says here, ahameva vedya. Consciousness alone is to be known. Vedanta Krit. See, when we say Vedaihi anekaihi ahameva vedyaha, the goal of all the study of Veda is to realize this consciousness alone. The other things are there to be known, like what is dharma of a brahmachari, grihasthi, vanaprasthi, sannyasi. What are various rituals, how to perform them. There are hymns about nature. There are hymns for desire fulfillment. Rituals for getting a child, getting rains. All those things are there in the Veda. And that is the bulk portion of the Veda. This knowledge of Brahman is very small portion of the Veda. Now you will be surprised that those who are ritualists, they will say that this Vedant portion is only for chanting. And if you chant these mantras of Upanishad, you will get punya, you will go to heaven. There is no other use of these mantras of Upanishad. That's what they'll say. Because these Upanishads are not telling you to do anything. Upanishads are telling you jnatva, not kritva. So these karmakandis, they have a lot of objection to that, because they follow one sutra. Amna yasya kriyarthatvat. If there is a mantra in the Veda, it has to tell you to do something. If it doesn't tell you to do something, it is useless. Then it is only good for chanting, it will give you punya karma, because Veda is a sacred text revealed by Bhagavan. So we should know that very clearly, that is one opinion which is there of the ritualist. And are we not doing that? So many people do that only, no? The essence of the Gita one will not know Either one will put the Gita in the puja room and one will worship the Gita, one will say, I will get punya karma if I do worship of the Gita. Or one will do the continuous chanting. Chanting may be the first step in sadhana, that is great. Chant, study, know, live. That scheme one may follow. But if one goes on doing only chanting, there are some people who just love, go on chanting only. It has impact, no doubt. Mind will get purified, the satsang happens, even the repetition, that chanting when one keeps doing, it will go deeper. All that will happen, no doubt. But the best use is what? When I reflect and meditate on what I am chanting. Same thing is with the Vedic knowledge. Vedaihi anekaihi ahameva vedyaha. And whichever Veda I may study, the purpose is that only. I don't even need to study all the 4 Vedas. One person went and asked the Mahatma, how many Upanishads do I need to study to know myself? And the Mahatma said, how many mirrors do you need to see yourself? Nice answer, no? How many mirrors? 1 mirror is enough. But which will be that mirror that you choose? We have 20,000 varieties here. Now you choose which one you want, which appeals to you, you take and go. So any one Veda or any one Upanishad, one text, one will know. Even all the stotrams we chant, if we go for the Vedantic meaning, it will lead to consciousness only. Even Puranic stories, if you read, it will lead to consciousness only. Itihasa also, if you read, it will lead to consciousness only. So all scriptures, Vedaihi anekaihi ahameva vedyaha, only consciousness is to be known. And what it is to be known as? The self. Who created this? Vedanta Krit. Who created this knowledge of Vedanta? Bhagavan says, I am the author. That's why the rishis have not left any signature. No patenting, copyright. I discovered it. Even some names are there, like Kathopanishad is Kathaka Rishi. That's not because Kathaka Rishi has that, Karta Bhav. It happens to be there, like Ganaka Rishi in the Atharva Shirsha Upanishad. The name is a part of the revelation. It is not that at the end it is written that it is my composition. The name is a part of the revelation of the Upanishad only. So the author of the Veda and Vedanta is who? Bhagavan. That's why we say Veda is Ishvara Prokta and not some creation of a Jiva. So we worship the Veda as Bhagavan himself. So we call Veda Bhagavan. But the problem happened is that only, that we started worshipping the book and we closed the book and we didn't read the book. And the other fellows came, read the books, mistranslated it and taught it to us, then we felt ashamed of that. That should not happen. Gurudev made it accessible to all. So Vedanta Krit, the author of the Vedas is Bhagavan, the goal of the Veda is Bhagavan, consciousness, Vedanta Krit. And who is the knower of this Vedavit? The knower of this also is who? Bhagavan only. Earlier it was said, last mantra, Nachasti Veta Mama Chit Sadaham. So who knows the consciousness? Bhagavan only. Now the knower of the Veda means the knower of the truth of the Veda means knower of consciousness. As the consciousness knows itself. Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. Napunya pape mama nasti nashaha. So we have to split it like this. Na punya pape mama means I don't have punya and papa. There is no punya and papa for me. Punya and papa are karma phalas. Karma phala belongs to whom? Karta. Who is the karta will have the karma phala because that person is a bhokta. Now senses of action, senses of knowledge, mind, intellect, all that is not there in that. Where is karta bhav in that? It is not there. No punya, no papa for the self. Na punya pape mama. So it is not the bhokta. Which means what? I am saying it is not the bhokta, but the contemplation is what? I am not the bhokta. For me there is no papa and punya. Because I am not karta. Our mind plays the trick with us. Whenever we want, conveniently we say, I am not the karta, no punya and papa. So if somebody says, why don't you do this ritual, you will get punya. I am Brahman. No punya, no papa. I am beyond all this. Then some success one gets. Then what happens? I did it, Swamiji. All my effort. It's conveniently. Whenever we want, we drop karta bhav to escape from the karma phala. That doesn't work. If I am the karta, then I am only bhokta. If I am not the bhokta, that means I should not be the karta. Na punya pape mama means I am not karta, I am not bhokta. Oh, what is the big deal? Arey, punya papa only is big deal. Majority does not want consciousness still. Majority still wants punya only to have a better life here and to go to heaven or to enjoy more and more in life. Punya is the currency which I can use for so many things. All good blessings in life come from punya only. So healthy body, good family, people to love us, wealth, abundance, punya. Satsang also comes because of punya. Sadhana we can do because of punya. So till we don't come to that level of detachment from BMI, high level of Vivek Vairagya, we have to do things which will generate punya. But where I will utilize that punya will be determined by my desires. So if my desire is I want liberation, intense desire is that, then punya will go for getting me more and more satsang. That's the purpose of punya. And through that satsang I can go beyond punya. So through sadhana I drop papa, come to punya, focus on getting more and more punya, drop nishiddha karma, drop kamya karma. Do the obligatory duty with dedication to Bhagavan. Do all the other sadhanas. Upvas, dan, punya, vrata, tirtha, japa, yatra, everything. With the bhav, I am doing it to seek the Supreme. Punya will get generated. But what will I use that punya for? Bhagavan, keep me always in touch with satsang. Use for that. That will happen only when my desire is I want to know the truth. So if I keep doing this, then a point will come where through satsang, through all these sadhanas I have purified the mind. Now I can go beyond punya and papa. Then I can say na punya pape mama. This is like the Gurudev's example. Take the pole, pitch it, go up till the bar. So I have to use punya to go till up there. Last stage I drop the bar and drop that pole. Last stage I say na punya pape mama. Otherwise mind will say no need of punya, but it will keep doing papa. There is a nice Sanskrit line which says Dukkham na ichanti manavaha papam kurvanti manavaha. Sukham ichanti manavaha punyam na kurvanti manavaha. I want sukha but I don't do punya. I don't want dukkha but I don't leave papa. How that will work? Bad ways, wrong ways, I don't want to leave. But I don't want to suffer. So what we do is we find ways of doing the bad so that I can eliminate the suffering consequences. That is terrible, no? That's what one keeps doing. White sugar is bad for health. But don't stop eating white sugar. Keep eating white sugar also, keep taking insulin also, dono. Because I don't want to stop eating that white sugar. So do adharma also, and then go to some temple, go to some orphanage, do some dana and think that this papa karma will get offset by this punya karma. No offsetting will happen. Papa will give its own fruit, punya will give its own fruit. So as long as I have jiva bhav, what should be my focus? Don't do papa, increase the punya. And channelize that punya with desire for the higher. Then when I am steady on the path and punya I have generated, mind becomes sattvic, then I can chant saying na punya pape mama. Then nasti nashaha, there is no destruction for me. Now see this punya papa, one more point is this. This punya papa is the consequence for which what I have to do? Take next birth. Because not every karma will give fruits in this life. So punya and papa, karma phala, keep taking new bodies, and then again that will create punya papa. It is an endless cycle. But what is this saying? I have no punya papa. I am not this jiva who is a karta, so I am not the bhokta. No punya, no papa. Over. Somebody asked a Mahatma, does Vedanta believe in rebirth? Mahatma said, Vedanta does not believe in this birth also. You are unborn consciousness. What rebirth you are talking? Who is reborn? The jiva is reborn. For what? Punya and papa, exhaustion. Jiva is reborn. Atma is unborn. And you are that. So does Vedanta believe in rebirth? No. Because it does not believe in birth only. Na punya pape mama. So if it does not believe in birth, there is no death, no nasha. Unborn is undying. So that na janma, so the word comes, nasti nashaha and na janma. No birth, no death. Gurudev used to say that if you don't want to die, you should not have made the mistake of being born. Now you are born, you have to die, so don't cry. Na janma, mama nasti nasha. This na you have to add with the deha indriya buddhi also. Na janma, na deha indriya buddhi rasti. In me there is no body, there is no mind, there is no intellect. Because I am the only one of these. And by itself in me there is none of this. So that is the 22nd mantra. Now the last two mantras. Na bhumirapo na cha vanhirasti na cha anilo mesti na chambaram cha evam viditva paramatma rupam guhashayam nishkalam advitiyam samasta sakshim sadasadvihinam prayati shuddham paramatma rupam. So na bhumi apo na cha vanhirasti na cha nilo mesti na cha ambaram cha. What is unique about this expression? The 5 elements are mentioned here. But these are mentioned from grossest to the subtlest, not from subtlest to grossest. Earlier it was subtlest to grossest. Kham jyotirapa prithvi vishvasya dharini. Kham vayur jyotirapa prithvi vishvasya dharini. This is ulta. So 5 elements are not in me. What we saw earlier, no? Etasmat jayate. Now it is said not in me. That time itself we explained it is only appearance, it is not real. So that is this. That the 5 elements are not in me. Evam viditva. Having known this, Paramatma Rupam, the nature of the Supreme Atma, Where will this be known? In our heart, Guhashayam. The nature of Paramatma will be experienced in our heart. Nishkalam, it has no parts. Advitiyam, it is non-dual. All these words have come earlier. If you read Gurudev's commentary, he has explained one very nice thing in this second paragraph, at the end of second paragraph, that the order of the 5 elements, it is given in reverse order. Why it is given? He says this very nicely. The subtlest of the elements is space, with its own property sound, and we know space is a concept of the intellect. Thus, so long as we are identifying with our intellect and functioning through it, we cannot stand apart from the concept of the property of space. In meditation, till the last, sound is a sense disturbance that you cannot avoid. Even in Savikalpa Samadhi, there is sound. When the sound is transcended, you are transcending your individuality. Means it is easier to transcend the other elements. Sound is the subtlest. The space is the subtlest. Sound is the property of space. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. So when we sit for contemplation, easier to withdraw from Gandha. From taste also, because you are not eating anything. If somebody doing contemplation while chewing gum, that is good. Nobody should be doing. So nobody is eating anything. So no rasa, no gandha, no rasa. Then rupa, eyes are closed, so rupa also is gone. Then sparsha, one is not touching also anything. So these 4 much easier to transcend. But this sound is not easy. Because there are 2 sounds. One is external sound. That itself is not easy. Then there are internal sounds. Internal sounds. Sometimes that happens. So body also has internal sounds. Then the mind has its own. I told you, no? Namah Shivaya. That is sound only. What else it is? I will keep coming down. So if you transcend this sound, transcended the individuality. That is what Gurudev is saying here. Sound is the first obstacle to overcome. So that's why this Ulta order is given here. That this 5 elements, how to transcend one by one? By withdrawing the attention. Subtlest is the sound. That's why I said absolute silence is difficult. Till we are functioning with this buddhi. So the only way to transcend sound is to transcend space. To transcend space means transcend buddhi. So deep contemplation on that. That's the only way to transcend sound. And that deep contemplation can happen only by your mind which is purified. Otherwise it will again become extrovert. So that is the order given there. Evam Viditva Paramatma Rupam, having realized this supreme consciousness by this process of transcendence in one's own heart, Nishkalam, Advitiyam, which has no parts, which is non-dual. What is it? Samasta Sakshi, witness of everything. Sad Asad Vihinam. Here the word Sad means gross, manifest. And Asad here means subtle and unmanifest. So Sad means manifest. So this body, mind, intellect. So gross body, subtle body is manifest. Causal body is unmanifest. Atma is beyond gross, subtle and causal body. To know this, Upanishad is not required. Tattvabodh definition of Atma is this. What is the Tattvabodh definition of Atma? Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, Yatirikta. It is other than the 3 bodies. Panchakoshadiktasya, beyond 5 kosha. Avasthatraya Sakshi, witness of three states. Sachidananda Swarupasya Vyastishtati Sa. Of the nature of Sachidananda Vidya. So Sadasad Vihina means that. So having known this, what will be the result? Rayati Shuddham Paramatma Rupam. That person becomes one with that Paramatma, fulfilled. That what we spoke earlier, the incompleteness all gone, Kaivalya Sthiti one has attained. Rayati Shuddham Paramatma Rupam. Now this is the end of this main part of the Upanishad. Here it is a Riti Pratama Khanda, it's the first Khanda. So the Upanishad doesn't have a second Khanda, but we formally say that Upanishad concludes here and the next two are the Falashruti, not the part of the main Upanishad. Yaha Shatarudriyam Adhite So Agniputo Bhavati Surapanat Puto Bhavati Brahmahatyat Puto Bhavati Krityat Puto Bhavati Tasmad Vimuktam Ashrito Bhavati Atyashrami Sarvada Sakridva Japet. So, what is the Falashruti here? Yaha Shatarudriyam Adhite. See, Shatarudriya is the portion in this Taittiriya Samhita of the Yajurveda connected to Lord Shiva. And those who chant this portion, they get lot of punya, they get lot of merit. Here Gurudev says that to a devotee of Lord Shiva in the Vedic days, the Shatarudriya stanzas are very sacred and inspiring. With the same reverence, this Upanishad is to be repeated and used for chanting with the suggestion. When Kaivalya Upanishad, when Kaivalya is mentioned here as Shatarudriya, so the word Shatarudriya here indicates Kaivalya Upanishad. That with what bhav of devotion and surrender one chants Shatarudriya, with that bhav, if one chants this, you see Shatarudriya is very long. But the punya one gets by chanting that, is the punya one will get by chanting this Kaivalya Upanishad. One is the chanting, second is the word adhite is used, is to study. Dhi means buddhi. Adhite means to study and understand the meaning and then to reflect and contemplate. So, yaha Shatarudriyam Adhite Saha Agniputo Bhavati. Then that person is purified by fire. What is purified by fire? So, if certain prohibited karmas are done, then one sits in amidst fire. Panchagni, 5 fires will be light, circle of fire and all that, and one has to do tapasya. And there are lots of disciplines mentioned with that as a prayasthita. Very difficult to do that. The purification one attains by that will be attained by a person who studies and chants this Upanishad. Meaning, when we do certain Nishiddha karmas, there will be the Papa Samskara which will be there. Then there will be guilt, fear, insecurity, so many of these. With such a heavy mind, one can't follow dharma and one can't contemplate on the truth. So one has to lighten the mind, reduce all these. So prayaschitta has to be done. So the smritis give different prayashchittas for different Nishiddha karmas. And one can do that, or the study of this Upanishad will give that impact. Even all this, Surapana Puto Bhavati, if one has been drinking alcohol, it is a sin as far as our culture is concerned, Vedanta is concerned. Especially for a student who wants to realize the self, alcohol too it will make a person more deluded. Waking state only one will become deluded. How will one contemplate to realize that? Not possible. Surapanat puto bhavati, Brahma hatya puto bhavati. If one kills a cow, if one kills a brahmana, that's called Brahma hatya. Highest form of dosha is Brahma hatya dosha. If a person has to get purified from that, a lot of prayashchitta has to be done. But all that one will get purified from. Kritya akritya puto bhavati. If some acts of omission are done, what we do in puja, some karma we do properly, mantrahinam, kriyahinam, bhaktihinam, all that. Those are acts of omission. Sorry, acts of commission. Kritya. And akritya, meaning what I should have done, I didn't do. Even from that. Tasmat vimukta ashrito bhava. Vimuktam ashrito bhava. Who is vimuktam? Lord Shiva. And you know Kashi is called Vimukta Kshetra. Because Lord Shiva stays there. Lord Shiva's name is Vimukta, who is always free, who is never bound. So he says here that those who study this Upanishad must take refuge of Lord Shiva. Vimuktam ashrito bhava. Vimuktam ashrito bhavati. That person will take refuge of Lord Shiva. Then such a person with the attitude of full detachment, Atyashami, I am not a brahmachari, grahasti, or a grahasti sannyasi. With that attitude, taking refuge of Lord Shiva, one should sarvada sakridva japet. One should even do japa of this Kaivalya Upanishad. Study, chant repeatedly. So if you do, let us say, chanting of this Kaivalya Upanishad every day 5 times, and that is japa of Kaivalya Upanishad. That will free one from all these. The mind will become purified. When it is done with the bhava of Sharnagati, with dropping all identification, then the commentary on this of Gurudev is very nice. Read when you have some time. What will be the final result of this study? Anena jnanam apnoti samsara arnava nashanam. With this, the knowledge will arise, which will destroy samsara. The ocean of samsara gone. Tasmadevam viditvainam, having known this, Kaivalyam phalam ashnute. One attained the Kaivalya state of oneness. Second time it is said Kaivalyam phalam ashnute to indicate the Upanishad ends here. You know, in the earlier days in Sanskrit, Vedic Sanskrit, there are no punctuation marks. There is no full stop, there is no comma, there is no punctuation mark. So how to know the text has begun and text has ended? If it comes double time, that means the text has ended. Kaivalyam phalam ashnute, Kaivalyam phalam ashnute. So finally, this Kaivalya Upanishad comes to an end, and we will chant the first mantra again, so that we will learn this. Om Atha Ashvalayano.
Om Atha Ashvalayano.
Bhagavantam Parameshtinam Upasametya Uvacha Adi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham Sada Satbhi Sevyamanam Nigudha Yaya Chirat Sarva Papam Vyapokya Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidwan. We offer this at the feet of Bhagavan. We seek forgiveness of the Lord for any errors of omission and commission, and surrender this at the feet of the Lord and put it away. Karacharanavritam va, kayajam karmajam va, shravananayajam va, manasam va param. Idam vedam va, sarvavedam kshamasva. Jaya Jaya Karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho. जय जय करुणानिधे
श्री महादेव शंभो
कायेन वाचा
मनसेन्द्रियर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिः स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।
नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ॐ तत्सत्। So thank you very much, especially for surviving long meditation sessions. And this we have done in the month of Shravana, most auspicious month for Lord Shiva. As you can check, as it said in the end, we will surrender to Lord Shiva. So may we do that and take this Bhakti. Thank you to all of you. You have been part of my sadhana.